I'm going to talk to you about something that I'd say everyone here takes for granted. By the time I finish up, I reckon you won't be quite so sure. I've just recently returned from my 27th visit to India. Now, I might be wrong, but I reckon there'll be people in the audience here today who haven't even been to a neighbouring town that often. So I guess you could say I'm a bit of a de facto local in India today. I was on the board of a company over there for a number of years, and we used to meet in Mumbai every 3-4 months for board meetings. One particular visit about 4 years ago, I was in Mumbai on a Sunday for a Monday meeting, so I had a bit of time to spare. And I thought I'd hop on a train and go into town for a look around. While I was in the train, a couple of young guys came up to me and asked me where I was from. I told them I was Australian, and they became very excited. They said, "Oh, Ricky Ponting, Shane Warren." We talked about cricket for a bit, and then I started to learn something about these two fellas. They were both students at the University of Mumbai, and they lived in a place called Dharavi. Now, Dharavi is one of the biggest slums in the world. It's got a population of about 1 million people, all crammed into 1.6 square kilometres. This is a seriously crowded place. These two guys asked me if I'd like to visit Dharavi with them. Now, I've got to tell you, I was a bit apprehensive. Slums don't have a great reputation as being all that safe for foreigners, but I decided to take a punt. I figured so long as I didn't want my kidneys, I'd be right. And I'm happy to tell you, I've still got both my kidneys, and my decision to visit Dharavi with these guys essentially started me on the road that's got me here in front of you today. Next morning, we met up and spent a few hours looking around. We visited people's homes and where they shop, where they work, and finally we ended up in a school. I was looking around the school, and there were lots of little boys and girls like the kids you see on screen behind me. Yes, lots of teenage boys as well. But there were no teenage girls in the school. So I asked my two new friends where they were, and they said, "Well, they don't go to school anymore." I said, "What do you mean they don't go to school anymore? Why not?" And they told me. Because there were no toilets for them. This revelation fundamentally changed my understanding of the world that we live in. And I decided that I wanted to know a bit more about this issue. So a few months later, I signed up as a delegate to the World Toilet Summit. Yes, there really is such a summit. It was held in Indonesia that year. It was set up by a Singaporean sanitation guru, Jack Sim, who's better known around the world as Mr. Toilet. One thing most people don't know about Jack is he was also the founder of the WTO. That's the World Toilet Organization. Or as Jack's quick to point out, it's just as shitty an organisation as the better known WTO. Now, I'm sure it's not going to come as a surprise to you that there are a shitload of toilet jokes told at this event. And I have to admit that my friends back home still haven't stopped taking the piss about my decision to go along. But for all the humour associated with anything to do with toilets, there are a lot of very, very serious issues discussed at this event, and I'm going to share some of them with you, starting on a grand scale. 1/3 of the world's population don't have access to safe, sustainable sanitation. 1 billion people defecate in the open every day because they've got no alternative. 4,000 children under the age of 5 die from waterborne diseases every day of the year. More people in the world have mobile phones than toilets. I don't even know where to go with that one. Half of the hospital beds in sub-Saharan Africa are occupied by people suffering from diseases directly linked to poor sanitation. Now, you've probably heard of the Millennium Development Goals. For those who haven't, or if you need a refresher, here they are on screen behind me. There's one goal that's particularly relevant to what I'm talking about today, which is goal number 7, ensure environmental sustainability. Within that goal, there's a sub-target, 7C, which is to halve by 2015 the number of people in the world without sustainable access to clean drinking water and basic sanitation. When I first heard this target, I wondered if the UN had got so excited writing it up that they forgot to tell anyone. it turns out that's a bit of a cynical response, because in fact it's not all bad news. The drinking water component of this target was actually met 5 years ahead of schedule. So what that means is that half of the people in the world who didn't have access to clean drinking water in the year 2000 actually had it by the year 2010. It's a fantastic result by any measure. The sanitation component of this target, however, had been completely blown out of the water. The 2015 target date was shifted a couple of years ago to 2022, and recently there have been rumblings of moving it out to 2035. What this should tell you straight away is that somewhere along the road, the world has got its approach to this issue completely wrong. To give you an idea just how wrong, have a look at these numbers from UNICEF. For every 100 people who die from diarrhoea, what a way to go, huh? For every 100 people who die from diarrhoea, if you give them clean drinking water, you'll save 5 of them. You give them soap, you'll save another 37. You give them a toilet and get them using the toilet and the soap and the drinking water properly together, you save another 34. It's about 75% saved by getting it right. We get this bit right, we could save 3,000 of the 4,000 children who are going to die today, and tomorrow, and the next day. This stuff makes me really angry because, 150 years ago we didn't have these facilities in the West either. This is all quite new to us. We've worked out how to do it. We know it can be done. There's no excuse under the sun that makes this stuff acceptable. Over the past couple of years, I've started to become known around the world as a loud and passionate voice for the toiletless people of the world. In fact, an Indian community publication in Melbourne last year gave me a name to stand alongside that of Mr. Toilet. A name I'm very proud of. When my mother-in-law saw the front cover of the magazine, she asked me what the little finger meant. I told her, in India, that means I need to go to the toilet. And she said, oh, Mark, in Australia, it means you got a little one. I learned a while ago you've got to love your mother-in-law no matter what she says. And it's all right, Sonia, I still do. Now, you'll notice under my new name the byline, to create more toilets for girls in India. So this harks back to my visit to the school slum in Dharavi, where I discovered that girls are being disadvantaged in education because of lack of toilets. So this is where the story started for me, and it's where my passions remained. I'm going to tell you a few things about schools in India that I'm guessing you don't know yet. First up, India doesn't do things in small numbers. There are 1.4 million schools in India. Out of those, 200,000 have no toilets at all. Another 400,000 have what I call statistical toilets. So these are toilets that the government counts as toilets for the purpose of the census, but they're completely unusable. And you're going to be eating again soon, so I won't show you any photos of them. But, what it adds up to is that 150 million children in India go to schools every day where there's nowhere to go to the toilet. Now, if that's not bad enough, among the 800,000 that do have functional toilets, half of them don't have separate toilets for girls. So how does this affect the girls? I've got to tell you, it's not pretty. 23% of girls in India drop out of school on reaching puberty, with almost half of them saying lack of toilets is a reason for leaving. 25% of girls in India skip school when they've got their period, with just about all of them saying lack of toilets is the reason they're not coming to school that week. Huge numbers of girls in India don't drink water at school during the day, even in the heat of summer, because they're afraid they might need to go to the toilet. And if they do drink water at school, then they hold on till they get home to go to the toilet. Except this doesn't work for a lot of them as well, because there are 100 million homes in India with no toilet. Now, boys and men will use walls and trees and gutters and bushes and train lines, whatever. That's the nature of open urination and defecation for men and boys in India. Women and girls, on the other hand, they don't go to the toilet outside during the day. They wait until after dark or before dawn. And they go and look for somewhere quiet and secluded, somewhere they can't be seen or heard, somewhere perfect for sexual assault. In some states of India, up to half of the reported rapes happen to girls and women who are outside late at night looking for somewhere to go to the toilet. Now this stuff's all pretty depressing, and I kind of want you guys to like me before I leave here today, so I'm gonna finish with a really amazing story of hope. Last year I visited a school in India where toilets had been put in 2 years earlier. Before the toilets went in, this was like the schools I've been describing, about a quarter of girls dropping out of puberty, another quarter taking about a week off every month. Since the toilets were put in this school, not one girl has dropped out. The daily absentee rate across the entire student body has dropped from 10% a day to 1% a day. The kids in this school got together 6 months after the school put the toilets in. They challenged their parents, saying they weren't going to eat dinner with them until they washed their hands with soap. And the local Rotary Club gave every child in the school a bar of soap that day, so the parents didn't have lack of soap as an excuse. It doesn't end there either. At the time the toilets went into this school, about 20% of these kids had toilets at home. Today, thanks to pressure from the kids and a subsidy from the Rotary Club, the figure's 80%, expected to be 100% by the end of this year. A couple of years ago, I started a charity called We Can't Wait. And I dived headfirst into the toilet business. Go figure. 2 weeks ago, we unveiled our first completed toilets in India. And today, the kids at this school now have got somewhere to go with dignity when they're at school. A few days ago, I had an email from the headmaster at the school telling me I had to go out and buy another drinking water dispenser because the boys were complaining about the queues for drinking water because the girls were now drinking water at school. Imagine that. Instant impact. What I've learned from all this is that children are the most spectacular agents for lasting change. Add this to the fact that educating girls in the developing world is probably the greatest opportunity we've got on the planet today, and maybe you'll understand why I'm now dedicating so much of my life to removing the shittiest of reasons for girls falling by the wayside. But you know what? I haven't told you the best bit yet. We Can't Wait's aims are really, really easy. Couldn't be simpler. All we want to do is improve the lives of kids like these, from the bottom up. Thanks very much.